This painting was actually accepted into an exhibition in Qingdao, China in 2024, and that was a big honor to have it included. I liked the light in the scene, and that's something we're going to talk about today, is how to paint buildings in light. When we think about painting a building in light, we need to think about layers. We are going to paint the lights and the middle values and the darks. And those layers are going to add up to create the full impression of this building with brilliant light on it. If you're not familiar with working in layers, you can check out my free guide down in the description below. So the first thing I'm going to do after I lay in a drawing, just like I do on a full painting, is I'm going to wet the back and the front of the paper, getting it nice and evenly damp. And now I'm going to do the same thing on the front. And I'm not painting a full scene, I'm just painting the building today, but I'm going to go ahead and dampen the whole paper. We're going to be painting the sky around the building and the light part at the same time. So that's going to take a little bit of control as we drop this onto wet paper. First thing I'm going to do is mix up a little bit of raw sienna and lavender together. If you don't have lavender, you can use a little bit of ultramarine blue and a little bit of rose madder permanent to come up with that color. So a little bit of this, and I'm going to go to the building where the light is. I'm going to put a little more paint there. It's a little weak. Even though we are painting the lightest values, we don't want it to be too weak. So I'm going to drop that in. That's a little bit better. And I'll put a little bit more lavender on my brush. It's fun to mix the colors up a little bit. Even though we're painting one thing here, there can be some variation. You know, I put a little more lavender on my brush, I can get some of those little variations that we see on the face of the building. And now I'm going to get a little bit of Cobalt Turquoise and some neutral tint and some raw sienna. A little bit of a dull green color for some of this here. And drop that in here. And this is the light value. Again, I'll be going over some of this later with middle value, but I want to drop some of that in now. Okay, now that this is in place, I want to paint the blue sky around the building. I'm going to use a mop brush now, and I'm going to take a rich mixture of Cobalt Blue and Cerulean. And this is where it gets a little tricky because I want to keep it from flooding into the building and taking over the wash, but I want to have softness at the same time. So I'm going to come over here and I'm pushing down on the brush. So even though the paper was a little damp, I'm pushing down on the brush and it gives me a little bit more control, then I can paint the rest of the sky. Now this over here is going to be a lot darker, so if I get some color drifting on there, that's okay. It's more this light side that I'm more concerned about. Even though I'll be able to add a little more in the middle value and darks, I want to be mindful of that at this point. So I'm going to take away the white of the paper with this blue. And I'm pushing down. I don't have a ton of water on my brush, but I'm pushing down and being careful when I get close to that edge. Same thing, carefully pushing down, going right up to that edge. It's practicing these little bits of timing and paint consistency. How much water, how much paint is on your brush that can really help you out with these things. All right, now I'm going to get more paint on my brush. Now that I laid in that initial sky wash, then I can go up here and darken the sky even more. And you don't want to paint too weak when it comes to the sky because you want to push that value. The stronger the sky is, the more brilliant the light will be on the building. So we've laid in the light color of the building. We have the color of the sky. All right, while this is damp, that's when we have time to kind of play with it a little bit. You can lift off some areas if you want the stone to have a little bit more variation. You can drop in, like I'm going to use some Cobalt Teal Blue with a little bit of this mixture here. If we want just a little bit different, we have these, they're not windows, but these parts here of the building. See how there's a slight color change now? You can get those soft little transitions at this point while the paper is still damp. You can go in with a clean, damp brush and you can push down and lift a little bit of that off if that's starting to drift over and it's bothering you. All right, I'm going to take some Cobalt Turquoise, a little more of this mixture, Cobalt Turquoise, raw sienna, and some neutral tint. And I'll drop just a little more, add some variation in some of these parts. Add a little bit of soft marks to start to suggest some of the architecture and detail here. And looking, squinting at the reference, just trying to generally create an impression of this. I'm not doing a really tight architectural rendering. That's the light values of the building and a little bit of some of the soft kind of middle value that we've dropped in. At this point, I'm going to let things dry, and then we'll come back and we'll add in the middle value in the dark and really start to give the building some form and some light. All right, things have dried enough for me to move into the next phase. That's when I'm going to take a smaller brush. This is an Escoda Perla size 12, and I like this because it has a really nice point on it, and it's good for little details in the scene. So I'm going to use that to add some of the darks and details and do some of the line work to really finish the impression of this building. And let's use some raw sienna with a little bit of neutral tint. And because my paper is a little damp still, I'm going to take some of the moisture off my brush with a little paper towel. I like to have a paper towel in my hand when I'm painting to manage that. And it's really fun when you start layering these values in these washes, because you can get a feeling of complexity in your work by letting all the layers work together. Most of the building is done here. I'm taking a step back, looking. I feel like it's a pretty good impression of this building. There might be a few little things I can tweak, but for the most part, I think we're good. Let's do some little dry brush. You can, put a few little marks around to show the impression of some stone. Okay, the last thing I want to do is I want to add a little bit of highlight. There's a cross at the top of this. I didn't want to paint around that cross. That's really tricky to do, so I'm going to show you how you can add something like that back in with some gouache. This is Holbein Ivory White Gouache, and first I'm going to add just a few little highlights. Now you want to be careful when you do this because less is more, and it's really easy to get carried away, but I want to show you how to do this because it can be an important tool for getting little bits of sparkle or light back into your scene. So I put a fairly thick amount on the end of my brush, and say I have a little bit of highlight I want to get just at the top, something like that. It might be kind of hard to see on camera, but put a little dot there, and then you can add a few little dots around if you want to suggest, you know, some of the detail. Add a little bit of that back in. It's a nice tool to have in your tool belt to get some highlights in your scene. Once it starts turning into dry brush, I go back and reload because I want it to not really be a dry brush, just a really clean mark. Now for the cross, I'm going to take some Cobalt Teal Blue and put it on my palette. Now I'm going to take some gouache on my brush like this and then mix it up on the palette. And now I can go up here and I can add that cross back in. Well, I hope that this look at my process was helpful. If you have questions about painting in layers or more about my process, take a look at this. Have you ever been really excited about a painting and you get all set up, you find that right reference that you're excited about, and then it's time to go and you feel lost? I have a free resource that I want to give to you today that can help with these problems. My 5 steps to plan a successful watercolor painting. I walk you through the crucial planning phase of your painting that will help you understand what you're going to paint first, second, and third. The planning is really so important, especially in watercolor. This medium is harder to correct. It's so immediate. So having that plan is very important. I send you a PDF that you can download. And the great thing about this is you can have it on your phone. You can print it out. You can download this right now before you start your next painting. All you have to do is follow this link here and download my 5-step guide to planning a successful watercolor painting.